Hi, my name is Cheryl, and I am a very late diagnosed autistic woman. I am about to share some information with you that might be so mind boggling you'll want to fact check me. But I guarantee you, if you look this up on the internet, you're going to find the same thing. The life expectancy for autistic people is, believe it or not, 15 to 20 years less than that of neurotypical people. Why is that? I'm about to give you 10 reasons why I think, as an autistic person, our life expectancy is lower. Number one being the number one cause. The life expectancy is actually as low as 39 up to an average of about 58. So I have exceeded that by a couple of months, but it's been challenging. I'm not going to lie. Number 10 is self-image. Our self-image is created when we're very young, and it really depends on our relationship with our caretakers and whether or not they were consistent in their validation of our emotions. Now, even the best parents in the world can struggle with having an autistic child who has lots of sensory sensitivities and doesn't understand them, doesn't know how to express them. There can be a lot of frustration. Parents might get upset, or they might need some space, which will lead to inconsistency in supporting their child. But in other cases, when parents are not so, maybe when they don't have the tools to take care of children in general, as in my case, my mom was a covert narcissistic person. I don't know how else to say it, but she really just made me feel like crap. And so I grew up feeling like I deserved to be treated the way I felt about myself. It only makes sense. And so therefore, it was a whole snowball effect of life experiences that weren't too good, that just kind of reinforced my feelings about myself until I intentionally changed them. Number 9, feeling different or misunderstood. I think that I've heard time and time again that autistic people feel different. You just don't know how to relate to neurotypical people. You have different interests, and people react to you in certain ways, and you think, the way they reacted makes me feel like they think I'm weird, but you just don't know why. And so it leads to feelings of isolation. Number 8, not relating to others. In other words, it's really hard to have conversations and make friends when you feel different and when when you can't relate. So that also leads to feelings of isolation. Number 7, autistic people tend to be trusting, and we also tend to be pleasers. We will do anything to help other people, and we want people to like us. So that's a good thing unless we don't set boundaries, in which case a lot of times we can attract toxic and or narcissistic people into our lives that are takers. And at first that seems like such a great relationship. We give and they love it. And so we get this feeling of, wow, we're doing something great, until we give and give and give and we have nothing left to give. And then they move on and we're left very hollow and depleted. Number 6, medical issues. Medical issues just seem to go hand in hand with having autism. The most common medical issues are autoimmune and immune. They are different. One means your immune system is overactive, autoimmune, and one means that it is underactive, which is basically immune compromised. Also, heart disease and epilepsy, very, very common. Number 5, job stress. As a level 1 autistic who seems normal, looks normal, acts normal, this involves a lot of stuffing down of reactions and emotions. Okay, so finding a job where you can be in a comfortable sensory environment is really kind of hard. I was a teacher for many years. I loved those students. Oh my goodness, I loved my students. But being trapped inside of a classroom and not being able to leave, and having some kids that were very challenging and loud, it was hard. And then I went into real estate, which I also love. I like the flexibility. I'm not trapped in an office. However, it is 100% commission. And if you have never had that type of job, then you don't know that kind of stress. It is extremely stressful. And in this market, it's super stressful. And since we have medical issues, we have to have insurance. And so if we're not making money, we can't pay for insurance. It's just a whole thing in itself. And that is in one area where I think level 1 autistics really could use support. As well as the next two, 4 and 3, anxiety and depression. These are super rampant among autistics for all the reasons I just listed, but also genetically, we're predispositioned to have a lot of anxiety. And for me personally, I have been so anxious, and I know I mentioned this before, that I can barely function, and that causes me to be depressed because I feel like I don't belong in this world. There are so many things that trigger. One thing I did not put on my list, and I'm just going to throw it in here because I'm doing this without editing, is PTSD. I don't know the statistics because, like I said, I didn't write this down, but it is high, a much higher incidence of sexual abuse among autistic people. And that is because we tend to be more naive than our physical age, and also because we're just so trusting. We can be coerced and convinced, and we want people to be our friends. So when we're children, it's very easy to take advantage of us, and that's super sad. But it can lead to some pretty major PTSD. And as you know, our world today is just filled with sexual everything, and that is very triggering. And for me personally, that can make me feel like I just don't belong here. Number 2, difficulties finding a romantic partner. That goes back to being the pleaser, being trusting, and attracting people who are takers into our lives. And yeah, more on that later. Number 1, all of these that I just listed, they all add up to the number 1 leading cause of death by level 1 autistics, which is suicide. And I left that one for last because when you hear it alone, you think, oh my gosh, that is so shocking. But if you hear all of the reasons why, all of the anxiety, the rumination, the emotional dysregulation, all of the job stress, relationship stress, feeling different and like an outsider, no one to relate to, feeling like you don't belong here, it all makes sense, doesn't it now? That suicide would be the number 1 cause. And in levels 2 and 3, the number 1 cause of death is epilepsy, seizures, or heart disease. So I truly believe that the more we spread this information, the more people understand, the more we can get the accommodations that we need, the more we can try and understand each other so that neither side feels like outsiders, and we can better those statistics. So I'm very, very curious to hear your thoughts on this. Please comment. If you found value in this video, please hit the subscribe button or just give me a thumbs up at the very least. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a great day.